Kylie. I wanted to leave you some feedback on essay four. I think that I like the direction that you chose to take your essay in that you of course are responding to Twins' discussion of how smartphones are impacting the mental health of Gen Z, but then you put it into the specific context of Instagram, right? So that's a good idea for how to do something new with Twinge's article, right? So I like the topic because it feels like you really took ownership, excuse me, of what Twinge's research is doing instead of just like simply repeating what she's already said. Um, and I think with your key ideas, you do indeed do a thorough discussion of some of the concerns related to Instagram, and you give a brief counter argument. I wish the counter argument did indeed have more development because you know um, your discussion of the negatives make it seem like the positives of Instagram really aren't even worth considering, right? If it's just that uh, it's a good place to meet people and be creative in terms of photography. I mean I think the reader could clearly argue that there are other ways to do these things. Without being exposed to all the negative parts of Instagram. So I wish that there was a little bit more development there. In addition, I did not see a solution. So I wish that there was a solution more clearly developed. So, are you essentially arguing that Instagram should not be used? Are you essentially arguing that young people need to be educated about Instagram? And if that's the case, how would that be done? I think that would be really useful. I also did not catch a thesis. So while it's clear that you are discussing the negative effects of Instagram, remember this is a problem solution paper, so your thesis should indicate specifically what problem you are addressing and what solution that you pose. I also want to make sure that when you to let you know that you need to create a full signal phrase when you bring in a source for the first time. So in this, for example, you want to say Jean Twenge says in the article how smartphones have destroyed a generation. Let me try to find another source. Yeah, here's another example. You need to create the full signal phrase because without it, the reader's going to say, well, who is this person? Um, I also want you to think about the evidence that you've brought in and how it relates to your key idea, because this is something that threw me for a loop. Because what this evidence is essentially saying, it has nothing to do with body dysmorphia related to social media. What this, and I mean, in some ways this is out of context for me because I have not read this article, but to me, what this quote is saying is that there's not enough evidence to state that people who already have mental health conditions are being how they are being impacted by their use of social media. So I think it's like a correlation is not causation discussion, and I was having a hard time understanding how this related to what you were saying about body dysmorphia. So you want to make sure that you're making sure that those ideas align as well. I did catch quite a few sentence fragments as well, particularly in your opening paragraph. So your opening sentence is one, so you want to make sure that all sentences are indeed complete paragraphs. So one way to read for that is if you begin a sentence with as and although, know that those kinds of words are dependent clauses, so they won't contain a subject of your sentence. And you can usually hear it if you read it out loud. So for example, as social media becomes more common throughout the generations to come and how much more convenient it may be to communicate with your peers, right? It sounds like there's more to say in this sentence. And that's because this is not a complete sentence. So you want to make sure that you edit for sentence fragments as well. Your Works Cited page looks pretty professional. The only thing that you need to include is a hanging indent on the second and subsequent lines of each of your bibliographic entries. Okay, thank you so much.